don't let losses get to you where it makes you physically sick.
Right. People are getting their hearts broken at younger ages, and now you've lost the relationship. So now it's like you have to find this new identity.
Some breakup is probably healthy. So you got to put your emotions in check now.
Yeah.
And every day you're looking at pictures. That's not healthy mentally.
I think one of the more neglected kinds are going to be more of like the friendship
Yeah.
types of relationships.
Yeah. That some relationship is just for a season.
Yeah.
Have the funeral and leave the cemetery.
Man, Henry's cold.
No.
God.
Leave the cemetery.
Lord of mercy.
But you cannot live your life every single day mourning over the loss. Just let it go. Learn to move on. You know, saying goodbye is not an easy thing to do. So many people are hurting in their relationships, so let's deal with it today. Did you know that the end of a relationship can trigger the same grief response as physical death? Research shows that social rejection and relational loss activate the same pain centers in the brain as physical injury. Now, whether it's romantic, friendship, business, or family, relationship loss can leave emotional wounds that affects your identity, your confidence, and spiritual stability. In this episode, my co-host and I are discussing the grieving process, biblical principles for healing, and 5 practical steps to help you move forward without bitterness, regrets, or emotional paralysis. So if you're struggling to let go or wondering why it hurts so much, well, this conversation, I believe, will give you both truth and tools. So we'll be right back after this.
Hey, what's up, real ones? It's your girl, Charlotte. I got Carlene, my co-host, and Fred, another co-host of the Henry Fernandez podcast. We are on the road to 100K. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get all the updates. Engage with us in the chat. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, if you got any questions, all that great stuff, right? Help us out. You can follow us on Instagram as well. Look up Henry Fernandez podcast.
Yep.
You can also listen to us on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. What else we got, Carlene?
Well, Charlotte, another way that you guys can support us and definitely let us know you're a real one is by running over to the merch store. Lots there. We got lots of designs. We got lots of different price points. So we definitely want you to be a part of what we're doing ministry-wise, because every time you do support us, it goes beyond the podcast.
That's right.
It does go to ministry work, helping families, and just helping individuals in different areas of their lives. And that's where we all come in. So remember, when you're wearing the merch, it's more than just wearing the message. You're definitely being a part of the mission, and that makes it very special.
And lastly, we love you so much that we want to give you value upon value. And Fred, what are you talking about? We have an ebook that you can download at henryfernandez.org. And if you can't find it there, it'll be right in the description. The ebook is a hand-to-hand guide that works directly with the podcast. Listen, we're all about your growth as we grow together. So download that ebook, subscribe, get the merch, help us out. We got to go back in the studio and make this thing do what it do. You feel me? Put it in the comments and we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
So let's talk about why losing a relationship hurts so deeply, and more importantly, how you can heal from moving forward in the right direction. So here's the question I have for everybody here. Again, I've got Carlene here, got Charlotte and Frederick here today. The question really is this: how do you guys feel about the topic today when we're talking about the whole issue of losing someone, whether it's even by death, but most likely in a relationship? First of all, have you lost someone in a relationship before?
Yes.
Okay.
On purpose.
You know what?
So I don't know if that's actually lost or like if that was.
Listen, He
Like
missed the
upset.
subject today. He did miss the subject today.
I'm like, I didn't
So
know if
he's
I
not
like
grieving
misplaced it.
over that, right? Because it
But,
was on purpose.
I mean, the one that came to mind. But no, yes, I have, and I've been broken of the heart. No, it's real
Praise
talking.
Jesus.
It does. Praise,
Praise
Jesus. Wow. That's not a praise.
Charlotte,
Jesus.
please save him.
I mean, I think that sometimes we automatically equate grieving relationships with romantic type of relationships.
True.
But I think one of the more neglected kinds are going to be more of like the friendship
Yeah.
types of relationships.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we think, it's just nothing. But then after the fact, something might start kind of
Right.
creeping up and you're like, what is this? But
Right.
it could just be that you're just grieving because it's a natural thing that if you were friends with somebody, maybe it was a coworker that you became friends with outside of work or church, even at church or whatever, and the season ended and that friendship is no longer there. Well, there is a grieving process
Right.
because you might have been very close with that person and now you're not anymore. So I think that can sometimes be neglected. So that's kind of what comes to mind when we talk about this topic. Yes, relationships. I mean, I think
Right.
that's a different conversation and
Right.
can go in a different direction. But I think for me, that's just kind of what pops out.
Good.
Relationships, that's the area that my mind actually went to because now I think people are dating at such younger ages. You know, I remember being in the school system at one point, and elementary school, they have their boyfriend and girlfriends, and just people are getting their hearts broken at younger ages, and it just goes all throughout, right? So I think that's a big, relevant topic. And the way that breakups are happening, sometimes it can be so toxic. So there's a lot of people with hurt and a lot of
Right.
people that are looking for closure, just different things, you know, and they're left with traumatic experiences.
So why does relationships hurt so much?
Based on how it was formed, based on how long it was, it's a tearing away. So it's like, you know,
Especially the loss of a relationship.
the loss of a relationship. Yeah, that's major because now for years you were with a particular person and now you've lost a relationship. So now it's like you have to find this new identity. You have to also mourn what was going to be, what was, and then you are dealing with every single pain point that is still going through your head as to why it happened, how it happened, you know, all of that. So I think it hurts so much because there's so much to process, so much to unpack. And if you're not used to unpacking things in your own life, then you really just don't know what you're doing. So the cycle just happens and you end up with the same emotions. So you're not really progressing.
Yeah. I feel we're good at funerals for people, but we're terrible at funerals for relationships. You know, not knowing the process of how to navigate that world of different relationships, no matter what relationship you're in, how to navigate that effectively to be able to move on is something that definitely needs to be talked about.
I want to jump into this segment, Fred, because Henry, in the opening, you mentioned about losing relationships, whether romantic, family, friendships, or business. So, and all of them can feel emotionally intense as losing a loved one to death. So I want us to just slow down a little bit and look at the science behind it, why that's true, because understanding what's happening in the brain really helps us to understand what we're actually experiencing. So research shows that relational rejection and separation activate the same pain centers in the brain as physical injury. Ouch. Which explains why heartbreak doesn't feel emotional. Doesn't just feel emotional, it can also feel physical and heavy. So let's look at everything. So first point that I want to bring up based on research, brain imaging studies show that social rejection activates an anterior cingulate cortex, the same region involved in physical pain processing. Also, emotional separation triggers the body's stress response, increased cortisol and emotional distress signals. Studies show breakups and relational loss are strongly associated with anxiety and depressive symptoms. And lastly, it's important to know this, humans are neurologically wired for attachments and belonging. So relational rupture registers as threat. This is why people say things like, my chest hurts, or I feel it in my body after heartbreak. it's not just poetic language, it's actually happening to them. So here's my question. Should relationship loss be treated with the same seriousness as bereavement or grief recovery?
I think some people think so.
Sure.
I mean, the younger you are, I think sometimes, or immature, it could be an immaturity thing too.
Right.
I mean, I think it's important. It is important to acknowledge that there is a loss component to it because, like you mentioned, Carlene, there is a grieving of like what it could have been, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whatever. So I think that's important. But to take off from work for it, I think that's a little extreme.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't
Okay.
even help it because you can't even go to work. You're so heartbroken.
I mean,
I
but
mean-
you're not gonna get interfere
Right.
with my money making, okay? Like I got a house to
Yeah.
maintain,
And
right?
again, some people are so emotional.
Yeah.
It's like I'm listening to all of you talking, and I'm kind of saying to myself, some breakup is probably healthy for you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know some people are crying their hearts out when somebody walks out of their lives. I get it. Maybe those are the relationships that are genuine. You really cared for the person, but sometimes God could be protecting you.
True.
So some losses are good. So you got to put your emotions in check now,
Yeah.
knowing when to grieve.
Right.
And I get it. And with all that explanation you gave a while ago, Carlene, about how, the loss of a friendship can affect us physically. I just tell people, man, don't let losses get to you where it makes you physically sick.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's always the awkward part for me is when I'm with someone who is going through a loss, because generally being like you have someone that has bereaved, someone dies, you're able to be with them, but when someone's still around and they're losing someone, that's a different type of conversation. It's like, how do I still be there for you, and that person that you lost is still like there.
Found.
Yeah, they're found. So they're in your phone still. So those are the little knickknacks that I have issues with at times.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point because you can't be grieving over losing someone, and every day you're looking at pictures of what was. Still, because that's not healthy mentally for you, So, and again, you have to define: are you mourning over the loss because you really miss them, whether you messed up or they messed up, or you're missing
the idea.
The idea of it and the benefits of the relationship.
Listen, you get into my topic, man.
So
all right, let me
Take it
continue.
from here.
So it says, now as we are on relationship loss, and it creates a really emotional pain, right? But what many people don't realize is that it also follows a real grieving process, like we was referring to. Just like physical death triggers stages of grief, the end of a relationship moves people through the predictable emotional stages too. So the five relationship grief stages are denial. This isn't really over. Like not they did not just say no to me. Like this is not over.
And that's how you end up with a mugshot.
Listen. So number 2.
all right.
Anger, blame, which is blame, resentment, outrage, how do they do this, all that jazz. Bargaining, replaying conversations, looking at those pictures, what ifs, like what if we weren't here, what if we did this, that, and the third. Sadness, emotional drop or withdrawal, and the 5th one is acceptance, clarity, and emotional release. Like I'm accepting where we are. Question, do you think emotional pain from relationships can sometimes be harder to process than physical loss? Why or why not?
I'm the wrong person to ask about this.
You're the right person to ask, Charlotte.
I feel like for me, like with my family, it was easy not easy, but it was a little easier because it was so crazy and wild.
I get it.
So I've kind of learned that it's not a good thing, but I can cut people off very quickly. I've learned how to do that, and so I kind of have to work backwards sometimes and be like, well, I don't want to cut people off.
Yeah.
And then also, I've been married for now going on 12 years.
Yeah.
12, yes. And so the relationship piece has been kind of foreign to me. So I really don't mean to be like dismissive over it, because I do realize, like, in the past I've been connected
Yeah.
to people, you know, and that, so I've gone through it myself. But I can tell you that when you pray about things, when you, I know it sounds very generic, but the Bible has a lot, especially Psalms, has a lot of things, you know, that can minister to you. And to your question, so do you think emotional pain from relationships can sometimes be harder than physical loss? I mean, I think it's relative to the person and your experience and
Okay.
where you're at
Okay.
in that moment, right?
Yeah.
But should it disrupt your entire life? No, I don't. I think it hurts in that moment, but once you get through it, like Henry was saying, that maybe it was a reason for this person not being in your life anymore, and that you need to accept it and not go stalk them anymore.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Real
I
talk.
think different but hard for the relational loss, because like you were saying, that person, if someone passes away, it's done, funeral, you're supported by your community. When someone chooses, right, to leave you, betray you, whatever it is, the breakup happens, now you're turning it internally. It's like, why wasn't I enough for that person? So based on how you process it, now I need closure, I can't move on. So now you're putting yourself in a holding pattern, and you're actually setting yourself up for failure, because now you just need that closure, or you need to speak to them again, and it's going to cause more pain. So I think that is the harder part, because the closure and the processing of it will make it difficult.
No, I love that. And I love that we actually put names to these, because some people, like, are probably dealing with this situation right now. They're probably in the process of one of these stages, and like, so that's what I'm dealing with. And so they don't feel like they're crazy from, like, they're you know, they're sad, and all of a sudden they're happy about it, and then 2 days later they're in the shower crying over this person, like, what is wrong with me? I don't know.
Play a country song.
You feel what I'm saying? So now I have an understanding of why, like, no, I'm in my sadness phase.
Is that really what?
Or when you see someone else on social media, you're like,
Listen, yes, no, I mean, I will now. I'm gonna go to the stage. I'm in this stage. Like, Lord Jesus.
Monique's got a lot to
Yes, unpack.
look at.
I love you.
Yes.
Well, I want to jump into this next segment, right? Understanding relationship seasons. Okay, so we also need to add a spiritual lens to this conversation.
True.
Because not every relationship is meant to last forever, just like God works in seasons. We've talked about that. Relationships also move through seasons. And sometimes the ending of a relationship is not a failure, it's a transition. So sometimes you're not losing a relationship, you're actually graduating from a season. So a couple of points here. Social network research shows that the average person's close friendship circle actually significantly changes about every 7 years. And now that I'm getting up in age, I'm like, it's kind of true.
Yeah. Wow.
Another point here, career studies show the average business partnership or job alignment lasts roughly 3 to 5 years. And I think even with younger generations, that gap gets shorter and shorter, right? And then another point here, family connection patterns shift across adult life stages, especially after marriage, relocation, or parenthood. Adult development research shows that people recluster relationships at major life transitions. So lots of shifts happen throughout life, and there's different seasons to it. So question for you guys, or for all of us, how do you discern the difference between a relationship you should fight for versus a relationship whose season has just ended?
Ooh. How do you know the difference?
I think I know when you're looking at the relationship, it's like, okay, you're looking at the fruit of the relationship, right? What's been produced from this relationship? You're looking at the alignment from the relationship. How does everything that's happening and the future of what could happen align with where I am, where I'm going? So there's so much to look at. You're looking at, can there be growth from this? Like, can anything good come out?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Situation. And it's a very grown position to be in, because it's comfortable to just stay with what you know and figure out that things will somehow autocorrect itself, you know.
Right.
But looking at those three things, I think is a good way to discern and to, of course, definitely pray, but also to call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? To look
Right.
at the facts and all of that and see where you are. Has the season really ended?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. I mean, you really hit on the nail on the head, in the Carlene. Because my first thing that came to mind was Ecclesiastes 3:1. There's a season and the time for everything, but to be able to understand what that is, you really have to evaluate where you are currently, and has this been a beneficial situation now that I'm looking back at this relationship, whatever that was, job, you know, relationship with another person, or so a friend, whatever. Has it benefited me, or do I feel lighter? Do I feel better now that they're gone? Now that have left that,
Right.
that's a good way of deciding or knowing how to move.
And just accept the fact that, you know, to your scripture that you mentioned, that some relationship is just for a season
yeah,
and it has ended.
accept
No
it.
explanation.
Yep.
You know, you just have the funeral and leave the cemetery.
Man,
That's
Henry's
it.
cold.
No. I'm not.
God,
Leave the cemetery.
Lord of mercy,
I'm
just
not-
leave the
I
cemetery.
mean, what's wrong with that?
Dump the
Well, what if
urn,
it was
dump
a
the ashes,
cremation?
and go to McDonald's.
I mean,
I'm like, go get a
I
sandwich.
mean, I'm just saying, you know, you at the funeral, why stay there?
yeah.
You know, just leave
I
the
hear you.
cemetery. You know,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah,
You know,
I hear you.
Life goes on.
It does.
You know,
The
how
sun will
many
shine again.
gravesite ceremonies we have attended?
Mm-hmm.
You drive in, we gather around the casket, and we sing our songs. The minister does his part,
Yeah,
but we all
yeah.
leave.
But
Yeah.
No matter how much we're crying, we're hurting, we all have to leave.
but they stay in the grave though. What if what I'm trying to leave just keeps following me and I see them the next day?
You see, we did a series about demonic forces. And he was not here.
Spiritual warfare.
So he's bringing this spiritual warfare kind of stuff in a totally different podcast.
I'm just saying.
Right? Why is that spirit following you?
That's a good
'Cause
question.
you gave it an invitation.
Oh, snap.
That's what you did. You gave that spirit, follow me.
Come on.
You
Not as
know,
I follow Christ.
Just walk
follow
out of
me.
the cemetery, man. Go about your business. Don't worry about people. And you know, you say I'm cold. I'm just look at life in a realistic way.
Right.
You know, there's some relationships that could have worked, and it didn't, and it happened. Right.
Right.
You're gonna feel it, mourn over it, then move on. Then there's some you just need to accept. You know what? It's for my good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not going to work, but you cannot live your life every single day mourning over the loss. There's some of you watching the podcast today, you know, unfortunately, you're divorced or the relationship ended, but you're still hurt about it. You're still talking about it. You are still trying to gaslight the person. You know, just let it go. Learn to move on. If you divorced your ex-husband and so forth, just let her go, your wife, let him go. You know, especially if you see them with somebody else, that's fine. Be glad you don't have to deal with the drama no more.
yeah.
But to sit up every day and to still be talking about it and still be moving on and still talk about what she did and what he did, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, learn to bury it, man, and get over the situation.